What's up guys, Foxen here. Time for the Attack on Titan Chapter 117 follow-up discussion. If you do like these longer discussions, definitely leave a colossal thumbs up and subscribe. If you are already subscribed, definitely be sure to set up bell notifications, otherwise YouTube is gonna be all baka and not send you the video. They're like a drug dealer, just holding the good stuff back. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. First off, a few topics, then your Patreon and Twitter questions. Definitely check out the Patreon link down below. First off, is this final Attack on Titan exhibition happening here in Japan in like July. So this whole art exhibition type of thing got announced, what, a few months back? Very recently, something has come out regarding this thing, so I need to bring this up here. In one of the recent promotions for this Attack on Titan exhibition, they've announced that they're revealing something important about the Attack on Titan finale, specifically the ending. There may even be voices involved. Oh yes, Isayama's definitely making it guaranteed that this sells out now. It reminds me of what he did with the final Attack on Titan panel being showed on that TV show. So a couple things about this. First off, it really is funny how Isayama likes to troll people with spoilers, potentially indirect spoilers. There is a question now about how much exactly is going to be shown, what is going to be shown. Potentially he could only be showing the final manga panel again, although if this exhibition does include voices, that could actually spoil something actually major this time around. About the actual exhibition itself, is taking place in early July. And you know me, I'm over here in Japan, so I was definitely going to visit this anyway. The thing is, the 3-day pre-sales for this have already been sold out. It's just funny how Isayama announced this afterwards. In other words, I will be trying to go to this Attack on Titan exhibition myself in person, although I won't be one of the first ones. That being said, I am expecting leaks to come out from anyone who already got the pre-opening tickets before Isayama made this announcement. I'll definitely be having a video on that with a clear spoiler warning. Next up, second thing regarding some stuff from Isayama. In the latest magazine where Attack on Titan does come out, the manga, Isayama gave this message regarding Game of Thrones. You really have Isayama just encouraging people out the ass to watch Game of Thrones, especially now. Keep in mind, this did come out a few days ago before the current events of the actual TV show. Thankfully, I'm a super casual Game of Thrones fan, so for me, it's whatever. Although, if you are a hardcore Game of Thrones fan, you know how much the season has dipped for this finale. For this, I'm actually hoping that Isayama is not taking too much inspiration from this latest stuff. For those of you that have been a little bit confused, Isayama has mentioned how Game of Thrones has been a huge inspiration for him, especially for the current stuff. In other words, the stuff post time skip. On the one bright side, Isayama definitely shouldn't be forced to rush the Attack on Titan manga, unlike the final Game of Thrones season. Fingers crossed it doesn't get screwed up. Next up, getting into Eren versus the Warriors, the Jealous Titan and Armored Titan beatdown. So one interesting thing I did mention in my Attack on Titan review regarding that Nutcracker line from the Jealous Titan. I did question whether this was really just an insider joke by the fan translators. But actually, from the original Japanese manga, it actually turns out to be true. This is a pleasant little surprise. Even more interesting, I just quickly looked it up, and it turns out nutcrackers are actually, or were actually invented in Germany. Again, going with the Germany or German morally comparison. How appropriate. For Eren's actual WarHammer Attack Titan, they dropped some very juicy WarHammer Titan information, supposedly it being this Mana Titan Drainer. Keep in mind this should be especially true since Eren's not used to using the WarHammer Titan or WarHammer Titan powers in battle. On top of that, he keeps on spamming those crystal spike moves. Either way, I'm really just enjoying every second of it. I really hope he makes some weapons for the Beast Titan. On the flip side, I'm just wondering whether this could further limit Eren. Is this causing the Attack Titan regeneration to slow down? In the past, he's been able to heal so rapidly, especially more minor injuries like the head. That being minor injuries for a Titan, not a person. So could we see this WarHammer Titan further hinder Eren? Perhaps maybe preventing him from using multiple Titan transformations. You previously saw him using 3 over there at the attack on Marley. Can Eren even go Titan mode again? This is going to be very interesting to see. And I would almost place money that Isayama's definitely going to take advantage of this restriction. For the Armored Titan, as expected, the Armored Titan was getting turned into a Titan milkshake by Eren. Like I said before, history is really just repeating itself with this chapter. Sadly, Isayama does like making one of his favorite characters suffer, which could actually be an argument why you may not see the Armored Titan die just yet. I do see a lot of the Warrior Titans dying or dropping off. Perhaps Reiner's going to be one of the very last ones. Next up, getting into the Beast Titan, Zeke coming in, making that grand final entrance. What a cliffhanger. Although really, come on, this guy just lost the element of surprise. This is Zeke, he could have used that much more effectively. Whatever happened to that supposed 11 intelligence stat that he had? I really do see Zeke's emotions that are definitely not helping him right now. If anything, perhaps he got even more drastically affected by being revived. I'm still gonna place a bet that the Beast Titan army is gonna rise up soon. As for other things, I really can't wait to see this Yeager WarHammer Eren team up. You could just picture the WarHammer Eren making some crystal balls, crystal spears, and then this Donkey Kong Titan fully taking advantage of that. This will definitely be the anime manga team up of the year, never mind the isekai one. And then specifically about that final line from the Beast Titan, "Don't worry, your big brother is here." So it turns out in the Japanese version, the Beast Titan actually did say Oni-chan. Don't worry little bro, your Oni-chan is here. Sounds like either Zeke is getting too into this, or I'm not sure what this story has become. It sounds like a high school anime. Either way, post down below what you think will happen with the Warriors versus Team Yeager. Is another beatdown coming? Alright, getting into Patreon questions. Don't forget your question could appear here if you also become a Patreon supporter. Check the link down below. If you are a fan of the channel and do like all the videos I put out every month, definitely consider becoming a Patreon supporter. Keep in mind the low tier does include the monthly live stream option. The next one is actually coming this weekend, so go ahead and check the link down below and you could definitely join in before the live stream this coming weekend. Oh, and by the way, in case any of you guys are wondering why I'm not on camera, I've been freaking trying to record this all day. There's just been non-stop construction going on outside. Oh, Japan. First Patreon question from Kashmir Fox. Why didn't Eren just regroup and try to figure out some plan? Is he so emotionally fragile that seeing Reiner meant to him that he had to fight Reiner? So that's pretty interesting because I didn't actually get the feeling that Eren was emotionally fragile at this point. If anything, Eren right now seems to be really confident, arguably even overconfident. Although, can he blame him? Eren right now not only has the Attack Titan, but the WarHammer Titan. In this all-out brawl, so far he's just been kicking Titan ass. I mean, the Jaws Titan and Armor Titan have stood no chance at all. In fact, the Armor Titan might as well not even be wearing armor. It's not been helping so far either way. The only minor setback for Eren was just his overestimation and not really factoring Pieck into the equation. In other words, Pieck getting that surprise long shot into his head. So at least right now it really seems that Eren just went into battle because he really just thought he could beat this and win by himself. Arguably, he hasn't been wrong in that department yet. And now he has his brother being backup. Let's see how that plays out. Next question up from T. Smith. Now that Zeke has shown up, do you think the Yeager brothers have a fighting chance? Is Zeke going to roar and set their plan into motion? So this seems like an actual natural continuation to the previous question. Although one thing, you mentioned the thing about the Yeager brothers having a fighting chance. At least for me, it seems like Eren has been able to solo these guys no problem, with the one minor setback from Pieck. Even if the Beast Titan didn't show up in the final moment, I would have given this battle still to Eren. The Armor Titan looks like he's out. The Jaws Titan is also one good hit away from being knocked out too. That really only leaves Pieck. So now that Zeke and the Beast Titan have actually shown up, they are really just gonna dominate everything. We're gonna have Molly's Titans showing up and potentially the Colossal Titans being set into motion. Next question up from Infamous Chi. How many major casualties will the Warriors have in this grand final battle? How many will the Warriors lose? If anything, it should be almost all of them. The Jaws Titan should go down, Reiners Armored Titan should get eaten, Pieck at this point unfortunately is also gonna die. I'll be a little surprised if the Marley leader makes it out alive. Colt is definitely gonna die. Funny enough, the only person almost guaranteed to survive is Gabby. She's gonna be playing that Arya role. Next question up from Valkrust. Is Reiner finally gonna bite the dust soon? So this chapter you got Reiner's Armored Titan versus Eren's Attack Titan round 3. But honestly, it hasn't really been a fight, it's been just a beatdown. At this point, the Armored Titan doesn't even have a freaking face or jaw. It looks like the Armored Titan is going down. But then again, Reiner unfortunately is one of the favorite characters of Isayama. I do see Reiner going down eventually, but this guy's gonna end up suffering a lot more before that happens. Next question up from Death. Do you think the citizens of Marley support Eren, or do they just see a bunch of Baka Titans destroying their city for power? Oh yes, the citizens of Marley are definitely supporting Eren, the one that killed a bunch of their people. Yes, all of the people back in Marley have definitely joined the Eren cult. They're all on board Team Yeager. It'd be like Yelena, but a small country of them. Next question up from Distract. Is Annie going to wake the hell up? When's the last time we saw Annie? Like a couple of chapters ago, still on ice? No, unfortunately, she's not gonna wake up. Not anytime soon. Just waiting for Isayama to prove us wrong. Next question out from the mentor. Do you think Zeke will be able to control the number of titans that he creates? So instead of all of them, he only creates about 100. So interesting question. For this, I really don't think Zeke is able to control that. In other words, if you have 2,000 people in front of you with Zeke's spinal fluence, and then he roars, as long as they're within distance, all of them should transform. I think the only way Zeke might be able to control that is just by not injecting them at all, or maybe injecting them with very, very little, or just getting them out of range. The other thing Zeke might be able to do is just, instead of doing a roar, he could just go up to an individual and then just whisper in their ear, "Hail the Beast Titan," then they transform. Next up, your Twitter questions. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and tweet me your question for a chance for me to answer your question. This is even more true for any of you that actually complain about the questions being asked. Guaranteed question, by the way, for Patreon supporters. Don't forget the $5 tier does include a monthly Q&A live stream with me. The next one is actually this weekend. Come on, you don't want to miss that. Go ahead and check out the Patreon link down below. By the way, a quick side note about Twitter questions. Be sure to include the correct hashtag and follow me. Otherwise, it just removes you from selection automatically. First Twitter question from Magic. Seeing Zeke this chapter made me feel like he has no ulterior motives, and it's 100% generally about protecting Eren. It does feel like Eren is the one using Zeke now, and not the other way around. Thoughts? Ah yes, about Zeke. It feels like ever since we found out about ZekJaeger's backstory, and him not actually having this grand master plan, in other words, him not being this grand mastermind, Zeke is starting to seem a lot more naive as time goes by. I don't know if that's Isayama's intention. Even more so after Zeke got recently resurrected. It now does seem like he's 100% on team Eren Yeager. Previously it seemed like Zeke was using Eren, but now Zeke seems to be 100% believing that Eren's on his side, which is really leaving him to being backstabbed by said brother. So for our sake right now, and hopefully for Zeke's sake too, hopefully he's not that naive. Maybe, just maybe, Zeke is acting again. Next question up from Hakan. After seeing this chapter, what do you think might play out since everyone is here? So talk about a pretty vague question. Right now it seems that almost anything is possible. You have the big players in the game, you have Morley that just arrived on the blimps, you have all the titans in one location, except Annie. Assuming this is the grand finale battle, there's a couple things that are most likely to happen. In the next chapter we could see the two Yeager brothers team up. At this point it seems like those guys are gonna dominate the battlefield. Let's just wait to see if Marley has a surprise waiting for them. And then there's also the Armin colossal titan that should pop up pretty soon maybe. And then one of the biggest game changers will be when the colossal titans from the walls actually get released. Everyone's waiting for that to happen. Do you think we'll see Armin's colossal titan in action soon? So right now, unfortunately, Armin is still in jail. For obvious reasons, Armin can't actually go Titan mode. Otherwise, everyone around him is instantly dead. And that's not even counting the nuke part, which he should be able to control. The other thing about Armin's colossal titan is that, does this guy really want to transform in this district? This whole district already got leveled at one time in the actual events going on in the anime right now. Hell, there still is that location in the actual district where you could see where Bert Colossal Titan appeared. Right now it is looking like Armin will wait until the last minute to actually go Colossal Titan mode. Something's gonna have to happen to really push him. Potentially the two Yeager brothers coming in contact, and then, calling for Wall Colossal Titan reinforcements. Next question up from Mikasa Ackerman. You've been saying that ships like Eren x Mikasa can't happen cause it's not an anime like Naruto. But you think Eren's most likely the father. If that's the case, then doesn't that mean you think Eren x Historia ship is canon? Doesn't that contradict what you said? Alright, so specifically I picked out this question since I saw so many wrong things about this. I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt and assume you're not doing this on purpose. The first super off thing I see right here is that you claim I said something can't happen. Unless you haven't been watching my videos at all. You should know how wrong that statement is. I definitely never said that this couple of Eren and Mikasa can't happen, specifically can't. I would just say the chances of this happening are pretty low. Huge difference. Second thing, the thing about bringing Naruto in this equation. I always bring up Naruto jokingly, so specifically you'd have to point out where I said that. I actually don't recall mentioning Naruto in, a few videos, so at this point it'd be a few months. If you do actually want me to clarify, go ahead and become a Patreon supporter, post it on our Discord, and I could look into that for you. So with that out of the way, that first statement is completely off. Then specifically about the Eren Historia thing, which still hasn't been confirmed. Either way, let's just assume that is true. First off, from what we've seen in the Attack on Titan story, these guys got together, or specifically Historia got pregnant. As far as we know, it's not due to an actual relationship type of thing. Maybe it is, maybe we'll find some flashback seeing that these two got closer together during the time skip. In other words, Eren being the father does not mean that there's necessarily this couple marriage situation going on. It really just seemed like they're having this baby out of necessity. Then specifically about actual ship things, which I'm not sure whether you mean a couple, marriage, holding hands, kissing. That's not something I've ever said that can't happen. In the past, I've always said Attack on Titan just isn't the story for that. Again, for me, it's just a little confusing to see why so many people are focusing on the love aspect for a series like Attack on Titan. It's like trying to squeeze some water juice out of rocks when you have a whole lake in front of you. Again, each anime season, there's like 50 anime airing. There's a whole bunch that focus on love. That's also not counting movies, TV shows, for me, Japanese dramas. In other words, if you actually do want to focus on a love series, there's so much out there for you. Then the last thing you mentioned about a contradiction. Let me mention this since I've seen this mentioned with other YouTubers. And I see people being guilty about this all the time. Specifically, taking something that someone said, months ago, then finding something recently said and then trying to call that a contradiction. I'm not sure why this is often done, but it really seems like some people think of these YouTube creators as robots? It's not like we have these positions in set stone and we can't change our minds. For Attack on Titan specifically, I may have said something 3 months ago, and then we keep on getting updated information. I mean, in the past, I jokingly said that Mikasa, specifically, she could end up with Armin. I said that jokingly, but as time has actually passed on, hey, I wouldn't actually mind that couple. What really matters is execution. Either way, long answer, and I hope this actually reaches you. And also some other people that are mistakenly thinking something similar. Next question up from Peace Lovely Royal. When Zeke entered the battlefield with his big brother speech, Eren looked really moved by his words. But I think that Eren thinks of him as nothing but a pawn to use for his main goal, which is different from Zeke's. Why do you think he made that expression? So yes, Eren's expression at the very end, he does look surprised. Some people are saying that he looks really moved by those words. But was Eren really reacting to that? Was Eren even able to hear him from that far away? I guess a Beast Titan should have a pretty loud voice. Let's also not forget that Zeke made his grand entrance by launching that rock at one of the warriors. In other words, that by itself should have been pretty surprising. At least for now, I'm leaning towards that, Eren being surprised, maybe even shocked that Zeke not even taking advantage of the situation. One thing almost guaranteed is that Eren's actually showing his genuine feelings and expressions with that face. Next question up from Light. Why didn't Zeke and Eren use the power of the Founding Titan and Marley? Why did they go to Paradise Island? Alright, so two things about this question. First off, I'm sure I definitely answered this question in the past. And second, let me actually throw this question back at you. Why do you think these two brothers didn't actually do this back at Marley? Maybe you have or maybe you haven't done this, but I've seen so many people ask all these questions without actually trying to consider something or some type of answer by themselves. Just a little thought exercise. Anyway, to add something new to the actual question, just looking at potentially what Isayama could reveal in the future, there's most likely some other reason why they didn't do this back at Marley. Something that's actually pretty satisfying. Instead of the brothers maybe just not thinking about it, or the brothers potentially being on board with the original plan. Next question up from Random Annie Fan. Why Eren refuses to go underground? Alright, so this question actually confused me. Why would Eren go underground? In this latest chapter, you actually had Elida suggesting to Eren to, run away? Go Diglett? Use Dig? Talk about that Pokemon connection. Let's assume that Eren, for whatever reason, did run away and go underground. What the fricking hell would that have achieved? You still have Marley up above invading. They would have potentially wiped out most of the people on Paradise Island. Which really just means what's happening now would have just been delayed. Potentially even worse since now you have a bunch of dead Eldians. Then the second key thing about this is that why would Eren run away? This guy has 3 Titans, including the WarHammer Titan. In the latest chapter, they did manage to catch this guy off guard with Peak in the background shooting at his head. But imagine if they didn't have that. He would have been able to wipe the floor easily, and this guy is still holding on his own. Next question up from Marvin. Is it true that Eren can see his father's memories because they are related? He only saw Eren Kruger from his father's memories and Frida raised after being touched by Historia and Rod raised. About the second part, recall that Eren actually did manage to see Frida's memories without being touched. In the anime, they changed it so he actually saw that while he was asleep in the Crystal Cave. Important thing to keep in mind. As for the first part about this regarding Eren and his father being related, Isayama actually did drop this early on in the Marley chapters. I think it was from Gabby. She mentioned something about the Titan researchers finding out that if Titan shifters are related, there's a higher chance of them actually seeing the past memories. Although up until this point, the whole memory situation has been a big mystery, sometimes just working conveniently when needed. So far in all the Attack on Titan story, a few people who should have known how exactly the Titan memories work should have been the Tiber family and Ray's family. This really goes back to something I mentioned that most likely, royal blood is necessary to unlock some of the special Titan DLC from the Titan memories. Next question up from Vibe Hop. Since we're coming close to the end of the manga, do you think Annie will be a part of the end? Part of me thinks she won't be, but the other part of me, which trusts Isayama sensei, thinks she might play an important role. Don't know how though, what do you think? Since now we are officially in the end game, 90% chance of that. I don't really see any way of concluding the story without actually getting Annie involved, or specifically the female Titan powers. Unfortunately at this point, Isayama has made Annie pretty much irrelevant. I mentioned in the last video or video before that she's been on ice for like 80 chapters now, which is like 7 years our time. That is freaking crazy. At this point, I really don't see a good way of bringing Annie back into the story without being it almost a half-assed way. Really, such a wasted, great character. But that is what Isayama chose. One thing that might happen is that all of this Titan stuff gets resolved, Eren or Armin are collecting the Titan powers. At that point, they have the Jones Titan, and then they just eat Annie. In other words, Annie really wouldn't be relevant. The important part would be her female Titan powers. So, I hope Isayama doesn't let us down, but I'm not going to be holding my breath on that, as a previous huge Annie fan. Next question up from Davis. Have you ever wondered how the Race King made so many colossal titans? Do you think he could make types of any titan, for instance Beast or WarHammer Titans? So this is actually something I addressed in the previous video. Specifically, one of my most popular videos actually. The one video going in depth on Raw's 120-meter Titan. I'll go ahead and link you to that. Next question up from Triple J. It doesn't look like the Warriors care about Annie because they could have broken her out using the Jones Titan, and this would have given them a fighting chance, since if Armin comes up and joins with Eren, they would be outmatched. So what do you think? So I'm not sure what you're actually seeing. I've addressed the Annie and Warrior thing so many times in the past. Specifically about the Warriors being outmatched by Eren, they're pretty much outmatched right now. That's not including Armin. And about the Warriors not caring about Annie, keep in mind that the Warriors have no idea where Annie is. Potentially she could just be dead for all they know. Right now they have a mission to either capture or kill the Founding Titan. Ideally capture it. It really doesn't make much sense to go out of your way to waste time just trying to locate this warrior that hasn't been in action for 4 years. This warrior being Annie, where you have no idea where she could be on the freaking island. Keep in mind you can't just teleport, this isn't Game of Thrones. Let's just say that they actually found Annie pretty easily. Who says that the Jones Titan could actually break Annie out of the crystal without killing her? There's also that possibility. At this point, the Warriors are taking the correct approach, which doesn't mean they don't care about Annie. In other words, kill or capture the Founding Titan first, then focus on Annie later. If you do it in the reversed order, you're just setting yourself up for failure. Next question up from Billy Smith. Now that Zeke is in town, everyone who drank Zeke's spinal fluids will turn into Titans. Will they turn into Titans when Zeke gets near them, or will Zeke use his Titan Scream to transform them into Titans? So at first I was a little confused about this question. I thought it was pretty clear that the Beast Titan actually needs to roar for them to transform into Titans. I don't think there's been anything else to suggest otherwise. So yes, the guy has to roar. Next question up from Yura. What are your thoughts after reading chapter 117? Definitely check out my Attack on Titan 117 review for that. Do you think Eren will be captured this time? Even though he could hold his ground and his big bro has arrived. It is a little funny how often Eren being captured gets brought up. At this time in the story, he's been captured what, 3 times so far? So no, there's almost no chance of Eren getting captured again. Besides, the Warriors don't actually want to capture Eren, they want to eat him and get the powers. Then, just from a story perspective, there's really no reason for them to actually leave this district if this is the final battle. For better or for worse, Eren's not getting captured. He's either gonna die, or he's gonna end up winning on top. Next question up from Nymestra. Do you also think that Rhino will finally die soon? This better be his last battle. I've had enough of his plot armor. Just echoing some of the stuff that I mentioned about this being the final Attack on Titan arc and the final Attack on Titan battle. Forget about Reiner, we're gonna see a bunch of people dying, potentially most of everyone, especially Titan shifters. For Reiner specifically, unless Reiner is going to be the one collecting the Titan powers, I think this guy's going to go down. Although, just knowing Isayama, he's definitely gonna make Reiner suffer until the very end. I definitely wouldn't want to be Reiner. Next question out from Mirage. Will Eren end Reiner's life by eating him and becoming the Armored Attack Titan? Oh, this question's appropriate. So I actually just touched on Eren eating the Armored Titan. In fact, Eren has to eat all of the Titans in the whole area, including Annie. The thing is, right now Eren is using the WarHammer Titan powers, which supposedly drain him heavily. This does bring up an interesting restriction and angle for the Titan powers. Which really begs the question, does adding more Titans into your body just make you drain even faster? Then specifically about the Armored Titan. As you've seen so far in the Attack on Titan story, the Armored Titan hasn't done the best job in battles. Just trying to picture Eren using this armor that he's not used to with his Attack Titan, that just seems like it'd be a disadvantage that would slow him down. Next question up from Peak. Do you think Annie is going to randomly come out of the crystal in the middle of the war? Nope. And do you think she'll eat one of the other shifters for some weird reason? Again, I really hate to break it to anyone holding out hopes for Annie, I don't see her coming into the battle. I'm actually trying to think of a good way of Isayama to actually introduce her back into the story that doesn't seem half-assed and out of nowhere. I'm actually getting a little worried since Isayama has had so much interest and inspiration in Game of Thrones. As you know what's happening in Game of Thrones right now in the actual TV series with it ending, hopefully Isayama doesn't take random inspiration from that stuff right now. Next question up from Yato. Do you think Zeke will use a shout and Falco will turn into a Titan and Reiner will let him eat him and he will stop the war? So this Falco idea about him turning into a Titan then getting the Armored Titan powers seems to be very popular. Given what the war zone is right now, the chances of Falco turning into a Titan are almost guaranteed at this point. However, specifically, Falco would have to not get killed in this battle. He would have to be right next to the Armored Titan. Reiner would have to recognize that that is Falco. Then the Mindless Titan would have to not screw up eating Reiner. Keep in mind, you've seen so much in the past how Mindless Titans just kill off people, sometimes without eating them, or eating them the wrong way. Looking back at what happened to Eren. In other words, for Falco to actually become the Armored Titan, one, he needs to turn into a Titan, most likely it's going to happen. He needs to not get killed. He needs to get to Reiner before the other Mindless Titans. Reiner has to recognize him and get into some position to actually let the Mindless Titan eat him correctly. And then Reiner becomes the Armored Titan and hopefully he doesn't get squished or killed immediately. Honestly, I don't see this happening unless Reiner freaking jumps into his mouth. Even at that point, the Mindless Titan still has to eat him correctly, so you would have to have Reiner cracking his own spinal juices. Now, assuming all of this went perfect and Falco became the Armored Titan and then he actually goes Armored Titan mode, what would a kid Armored Titan be able to do that previous experienced warrior hasn't been able to do? If anything, that would just give him a free buffet for Eren. Eren doesn't care about Falco, why would he? Next question up from Miguel. After seeing Reiner's regular Titan transformation this chapter, do you think this weird, unarmored version from chapter 104 will ever be brought up? So much like a lot of things in the Attack on Titan, especially for the Attack on Titan finale, I really don't think a lot of these questions will be given a definite answer. Knowing Isayama, he'll definitely drop a lot of hints. And so far, I actually think Isayama has given us enough information to actually give us this answer for this unarmored version of Reiner's Titan. Very low chance that it gets brought up again, unless Reiner actually wants to go into that mode, potentially via a screwed up armor transformation. I really don't think it's going to be brought up again. Next question up from Mr. Pioneer. How different do you think things would be if Commander Erwin survived the battle of Sheik and Shina up until this point in the story? So interesting question, and really that could be a full video topic. But specifically, you do add the point about Armin still getting the Colossal Titan power. This actually changes things up quite a bit. So some random thoughts without putting too much thought into it. Perhaps the attack on Marley would have happened a lot sooner. There's a good chance Paradise Island would have been in this much more offensive position, especially compared to right now. If anything, the Wall Colossal Titan demonstration would have happened much sooner. If any of you watching have any input on this, definitely post it down below. How would things have been different if Erwin were alive? Next question up from Reza. Do you think there will be a major death? So now that we're actually in the Attack on Titan finale, I expect there to be a lot of people dropping like flies. If anything, potentially one every single chapter. Any chapter that goes by without someone dying, that instead should be the surprising part. Now that's even more real than ever now that this Titan war has started, especially in the district. In the next chapter, potentially we're gonna see another person dying, maybe a Titan shifter, someone important. Although just knowing Isayama is not gonna get confirmed until a few chapters later. He really likes to do that type of stuff. And that'll be your bonus question of the day for anyone that made it this far. Which is the next major death that you see happening? Once again, definitely check out the link down below to become a Patreon supporter. If you're a fan of the channel, you definitely don't want to miss out on the monthly live streams. And right now I'm actually doing a little bit more than just monthly. The next one is this weekend, so you still have a little bit of chance to join before that starts. Then for Twitter, the next Attack on Titan prediction video will be for chapter 118. Definitely follow me on Twitter and include the hashtag Attack on Titan 118 so you have a chance to get your question in. If you want, you could go ahead and start tweeting in your questions right now. So smash that colossal thumbs up and I'll see you guys later.